everyone. So in this session, we'll see an overview of a digit stack and its services. So what exactly makes a digit as a stack and how the architecture look like and what are the technical, stack look like and stuff like that, right? So we will be covering, some of the, ERP stack as well, which is a monolith application, but still how you can run in a hybrid architecture. So along with microservices, an ERP stack, which is a monolith stack, can coexist and still can work as part of digit stack, right? So here is the overview. So digit is basically India's largest open source platform for urban governments. So it is basically built on open API that provides API access to variety of urban and municipal services, enabling the state governments and city administrators to provide services with relevant new features. So digit as such, comes with certain new services. It also, enables the existing system to integrate if there are any system players already. So being a open API standard, it allows to, integrate with the platform. And then, after integrating, it can run seamlessly on any commercial or on-prem like state data center, infrastructures with scale and speed, right? So Digit is mostly a microservice-based platform. So Digit follows the layered architecture that increases the flexibility, maintainability, and the scalability, right? So let's look at how the layers look like. So as you can see, the horizontal, the layers like infra services, business service, and the REST API, that is municipal services layer, right? So these are the different layers. So which basically increases the flexibility and the maintainability and the scalability part of it, right? So as you can see, every layer has got a set of microservices. For example, infra services, which we also call it as core services. So that provides like services like notification servers, users and rules, and your telemetry, caching, authentication, file services, reporting, workflow engines, and stuff like that, right? So these are, mostly get categorized as core services because this lays the basic platform, right? So on top of it, the business layers, I mean business service. So here comes, employee service, financial service, citizen service, demand service, collections, like across various, modules. You want to see the collections and the inventories and stuff like that. So these are not independent. So, essentially business services rely on infra services, and the same with like the above municipal services rely on business services as well as infra services to actually operate, right? And this layered architecture, gives the, ability for, anybody to, integrate their particular service depending upon which category it falls into, right? So Digit being an open source platform, so it allows the contributors, the community, or the partner ecosystem, or anybody to contribute uh, based on their ability and the need, right? So the municipal layer look like, I mean, we have citizen services, revenue. These are different categories again. but like, all are under the umbrella of municipal services. So these are mostly, citizen and the, city administrator facing, right? For example, citizen, he needs to, apply for a birth and death certificate, and there is a general M-Seva portal, that gives you like public grievance redressal and kind of features, and building plan approval, marriage registration, and there are many more, right? And from a revenue perspective, like, the property tax, the trade license for all the, various trades to apply for a license and get the license, and land and estate, water charges, sewerage, solid waste management, and stuff like that. From a expenditure perspective, like, the various payroll systems, inventory, asserts, and stuff like that. And for the city administrators, or for the, bureaucrats, like employee manager, file manager, legal case manager, council manager. So these are some of the municipal services. So as we see the different layers, so that's how the even open source code is, you know, categorized and put in GitHub for the open source community to actually start contributing, right? Or for any partner ecosystem to, come and take the platform and then build on top of it, or like, start contributing to the platform itself and things like that, right? And there are many more, like, there are various dashboard services like that caters like state, center, and ULBs and stuff like that. And obviously there are adapters, like, you can write various payment gateways, you can extend it, like, across various, payment solutions like, UPI, card, bank, and stuff like that. And there are various workflows, workflow adapters. Every system has got its own, like, for example, trade license has got its own workflow, right? So the workflows can be, these adapters can be extended based on, it could be differing from a state to state, city to city, or things like that. So there's a very high level view, like, uh, how the, layered architecture of Digit look like, and what are the various services and stuff like that, right? And if in case, like, there is a monolith system, either from a state side, that needs to be integrated with the Digit, and so though these are like, microservices which are built on Spring Boot, so still, like, you can containerize the entire ERP application, and put it inside the same, infra where the microservice based Digit platform is running, and it can still seamlessly run, right? So there are few other things to notice, that, like, so all our backend services that you saw right now, like, all these are like, backend services, and these are like the front end. So front end is, uh, uh, predominantly on React and Node.js, and that supports both web and mobile, right? So in mobile, it's not a native app as such, but it doesn't stop you. It doesn't stop anyone to create a native app. But right now, like, it is a web view that you can see on mobile, and each service is actually, baked into a Docker containers. So as you know, like, every microservice is reasonably very small, and it's in this case, since it's a Spring Boot, it's a jar, that gets baked into a container, the Docker container that has got a, the base, like, Java, Alpine Java, and then, on top of it you will have a your jar, and then you start the container, right? So that Docker container is orchestrated into a Kubernetes cluster. So for every state, there can be, the Kubernetes different clusters, Kubernetes clusters, that is for like dev, UAT, and prod, you know. So Kubernetes cluster, makes it abstracted, like, irrespective of whichever the infrastructure, whether it is commercial cloud or on-premises data center or state data center, things like that. So once you create a Kubernetes cluster, so it makes a perfect environment for all your, Docker containers to run, and these Docker containers are baked with the, whatever your, respective service code. So that's how it is baked and run, right? So as you know, Kubernetes, gives a great, you know, flexibility in terms of scaling and speed and stuff like that, right? And Digit has got Kafka queue, so it relies heavily on Kafka. We call it as backbone as well. So every service or most of the services, like, uh, it'll put the, respective data into the topics, and there are services like persister, indexer that you saw in the, the core services. So that will actually, take care of persisting the relevant data into the database, and index, sorry, it's an index, and then searcher, and for any other service, if they want to consume, they can always consume from a Kafka queue, right? And we use open source Postgres DB. So every service will have its own, if at all there is a flyway migration to be run. So again, it would be as part of init containers it runs, and it just prepares the DB for the service to start, and then the persister will take care of persisting the data into the database, right? So we use Zuul as API gateway, so that takes care of authentication, authorization. Zuul, in addition to it, it gives, the ability to put your pre-filters, post-filters, like, every request you can, filter, and you can enrich at the same time, you can, on the response also, you can enrich and stuff like that, right? And we have the, Elasticsearch, so that stores the, the large data or for the longer duration, so that in turn helps to, run your analytics and come up with certain dashboards and stuff like that. The dashboards for centers, states, ULBs, and app specific as well, right? And so Nginx ingress is used to route the traffic. So every Kubernetes cluster would be gated by the, Nginx ingress, so that when a request comes, it just verifies the TLS and SSL termination, and then it forwards the traffic to Zuul, and from Zuul, based on the authorization and pre-filters, post-filters, it then routes the traffic into the Kubernetes services, right? And Kubernetes services is nothing but the backend services, which are nothing but your core service, business service, and the municipal services, right? And yeah, so that's it about the Digit overview and its architecture and the technical overview.